Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail just fixed its biggest problem, and it could serve as the blueprint for future stories, worlds, and verses to utilize and learn from when they're trying to go from one giant climactic moment to the next. See, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, the expansion that is currently out, culminated a 10-year-long story, if not longer. All the story of Final Fantasy XIV had led to that moment in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, and with that now in the rearview mirror, questions arose about where we would go from here. Those questions would be answered when it came to FanFest, where they would announce details for the new expansion. And at the last two FanFest, we learned more about the new world, essentially America, but now with lizard people. And the premise of the expansion was that we were asked to go to this new world, to take part in a contest to determine who would claim the throne. The Scions would be split in two, with each side supporting a different member, and the idea and feel of the expansion was that it would be a cool summer vacation-esque expansion and experience on the whole. Which is cool, but when you follow that up from, fighting the concept of despair itself at the edge of the universe, let's just say the stakes have been lowered a bit. And it's at times like this where a lot of people can fall off the wagon, where they've had a sense of finality, a conclusion to the story they really cared about, and getting them hooked and to stay on for pretty much a new story can be extremely hard and difficult to do, and to pull off. And that was proving to be the case, at least in my experience, from my personal experience, when it came to Dawntrail. I was looking forward to the expansion, don't get me wrong, but to say I wasn't nearly as excited for it as I was with Endwalker or Shadowbringers would be an understatement. I was probably firmly at like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in terms of excitement. But after the Tokyo Japan Fan Fest that just happened the other day, it's fair to say my excitement is now at a 9 or even a 10 out of 10. Now, how did Final Fantasy XIV manage to pull this off? Well, a couple of ways. One, strong writing. Duh, you need to have strong writing in moments like this, because this and these are the types of moments where strong writing really shines. Where you are able to still have a world that is engrossing and full of questions that you want answers to after the conclusion of a massive arc like Endwalker was, to where you still want to stick around. And there were plenty of those going into Dawntrail, with the City of Gold and the New World. However, they also announced a couple of new locations, a new city that we would be able to explore alongside Tulialol as the main city hub of the expansion. And I don't think anybody predicted the scope of what was to be added. Solution 9. Yes, we know it's the name of one of Zidane's abilities in Final Fantasy IX. Cool. Solution 9, though, would blow me away when I was reacting to it. And I'm still kind of blown away and in shock. See, it looks like a giant cyberpunk city. A strong use of color contrast and color schemes to paint a beautiful, engrossing visage that I just want to explore and see all that it has on offer. You pair that alongside the new raid tier taking place in, I assume, the same location, or at least one that is close in proximity, and all of a sudden a ton of minds were blown. What was once thought to be a scaled-back experience and story on the whole turned out to have way more teeth and fangs just beneath the jawline. Or gum line, I guess. It's like opening a shark's mouth and seeing all those rows of teeth. Clearly, we did not know what we were getting into, and I couldn't be any more happier for that. You see, this isn't raising the stakes. This isn't fighting the concept of despair itself at the edge of the universe, and then culminating in a giant 1v1 battle against ideals. But when you have a world as diverse and engrossing as Final Fantasy XIV, when you have a writing team that is well-renowned and respected, like that on Final Fantasy XIV, you pair that up, and when you show me stuff like this, like Solution 9, like this new raid tier, it excites me. It gets me on board with the idea, even more so than I was before. It raises questions, and questions that I want the answer to, and because of how well-renowned and respected the writing team of Final Fantasy XIV have become for me, because of how many stories they have told that have been expert in the confines of Final Fantasy XIV and now 16, I'm fully on board with whatever idea they want to go with. And when you show me an idea as cool and awe-inspiring as Solution 9, I don't have to worry about how aesthetically different that it is, or how it could fit into the story. I'm sure that it will, and it will fit amazingly, because they have built up that reputation of trust. That is a hard thing to do, but when you have that reputation of trust, you earn the benefit of the doubt. I don't have to think that Final Fantasy XIV is going off the deep end or whatever. In fact, to me, this screams Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy on the whole has always loved bringing many different aesthetics and art palettes together in one harmonious whole, especially Final Fantasy XIV. It's all about that. And when you show me how beautiful some of these zones have been, and then you show me how aesthetically different Solution 9 is compared to everything else, it makes me more invested in the new world and want to explore it and learn all of its secrets. And what happened? Where did it all come from? How did we get to this present moment, and where will it all go from here? It piques my sense of curiosity and my desire and wanderlust to go and explore it, while also adding tension and stakes to it. They don't have to be as high as, say, like Meteion, they don't have to be. But when you take a step back and then to the side, it doesn't feel like we're going back to square one anymore, or like we're going back to Stormblood and just trying to have an expansion focused on world building. There'll be a lot of that, I'm sure, but it doesn't feel like it's just going to be that. There's a massive story going on here, and I want to experience it fully. Now, what do I mean by going to the side, like taking a step to the side? Well, the scale is definitely put back compared to where Shadowbringers and Endwalker were, in terms of stakes, and that's fine. But when you take a step to the side and show me new visuals, a new type of story that is unraveling here, with different kinds of stakes, and different questions and different senses of intrigue, you don't feel the need to continually just introduce more powerful baddies over and over and over again to raise the stakes like that. That feels forced and arbitrary a lot of the time, but this feels far more natural. We're exploring a part of the world we had never been to, with questions that are wholly unique and localized to these locations. And we wonder how they may even perhaps connect back to the questions we've already had about our side of the world. When you pair all that up with a swath of updates for content that we've been asking for, and seemingly addressing many of the fans' issues or critiques with the state of the game up to this point, with Endwalker, and you actually address them and you add stuff that looks cool or sounds cool, or if you don't have a lot to talk about like the field operations, you at least ensure the player base that yes, we are going to do another thing like Bajra or Eureka, which is what a lot of us have been asking for. When you address seemingly every concern that the player base has en masse, that trust and goodwill that has already been there is reinforced and bolstered even. And when it's paired up with locations that look as cool and beautiful in terms of their design and implementation as Solution 9 as some of these other zones, it makes an experience that feels diverse, that has a lot of questions in pretty much every branch of content that I want to explore and find out about. The world of Final Fantasy XIV is not a solved one. It's not a book that has been closed with simply opening a new chapter. And that can be a lot of, like, wood fluff for a lot of other companies and studios, but when it comes from Final Fantasy XIV, it rings true, because they have constructed the world and foreshadowed so many things up to this point, to where, yeah, Endwalker was a massive sense of conclusion, a finality of sorts, for a large part of the game, but it wasn't all of it. And they had teased ideas, concepts, and locations for so long with characters we've been engrossed with and care about, that one, they are expert at introducing new characters and making us care about them. They're great at that. Hell, the main villain of the last 10 years was introduced at like level 86, and instantly became one of my favorite villains they ever done in Final Fantasy. Like, how do you do that? Like, that speaks to the quality of the writing on offer. No, seriously, think about it. From level 1 to 90, the main overarching villain was introduced at like level 86. And they're still one of my favorite villains of all time, like next to Emet. Just think how wild of an idea that is, and how crazy you would sound telling that to anyone else who didn't play Final Fantasy XIV. When you have that rep, that you are capable of writing a story to that quality, and pulling bars of gold, not even cats. You can pull out a kitty holding a bar of pure gold out of a hat at random. When you show me stuff like Solution 9, any worry or concern that I could potentially have about its implementation or how it fits in the world goes out the window immediately, because I'm ensured, based on your reputation and what you have done for me lately, that you can manage it. Cosmic exploration? Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, we just fixed up Ishgard like an expansion ago. Yeah, let's do the same thing, but in space. I'm down for it. It doesn't feel jarring or off-putting to me, because it fits with the preconceived notions of Final Fantasy XIV, and how beautiful and bombastic and eclectic the world can really be, because they didn't spend all that time, from A Realm Reborn to Endwalker, purely developing that singular story of Hydaelyn and Zodiac. They were developing a world, and a world in which that Hydaelyn and Zodiac arc happened in, but it wasn't the only thing. And once that story arc concludes, no matter how long it took, you still have so many aspects of the world that we want to know about, to learn about, to read about, to witness. You pair that up with expert writing and a brilliant reputation, on top of never feeling dull artistically. The world is engrossing and beautiful to look at that makes me more excited because I want to explore it. It doesn't just look like some dull, one-dimensional location that we've had 15 of. No, they look unique and gorgeous, and I want to explore them. They can take inspiration from what came before, but so long as they still retain a sense of individuality and uniqueness, that is what is important. One of the first things I said and thought when I saw Solution 9 was how it reminded me of Amarot, but if Amarot was in its prime. But even then, it still has its own sense of unique identity in terms of the art, in terms of the locations there. And that's great because it feels unique and new while still feeling like it doesn't not belong in the world. I'm not saying like every story or every medium or every series needs to have like 20 billion different aesthetics in it. But within the confines and of the world that you have built, you have to be able to keep the experience feeling, looking, and hearing, and even smelling sometimes, fresh and new. And Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail managed to do that somewhat, but with Solution 9 and this Tokyo Fanfest, managed to absolutely knock it out of the park. Get it? It's a baseball joke because the FanFest was held at the Tokyo Dome. Entire stinker. But in conclusion, I'm excited. I'm simply excited to see what is on offer, what they have to bring to the table. The world looks engrossing and filled to the brim with so many mysteries that I want to explore and solve and find out for myself. It looks great because it's clear that that passion and imagination that were the cornerstones of Final Fantasy XIV for so many years has not gone away. And oftentimes, that can be the biggest reassurance of them all. And with that, I will call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd really help the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.